Welcome to the channel. I'm Stacy, and my goal here is to help you to play better and sound better in your worship services. Today, I'm going to go over the tones for the song So So Good by Phil Wickham, Brandon Lake, and Elevation Worship. The live video for this one was recorded at the Summer Worship Nights stop in Phoenix. That was the Phil Wickham and Brandon Lake tour, and my brother and his wife treated my wife and I to that, and so we got to go. It was pretty awesome. We did that song a couple of different times, and it was a lot of fun, but the whole night was really good. Ministered to us a whole lot. And thank you, Jason and Tori. We love you. And that was an awesome experience. If you listen real close, if you're looking at your computer, listening to that song on the right side, if you hear a little bit of a flat, out of pitch male voice, that's going to be mine. So you're welcome. But that was a lot of fun. And from where we were sitting, we could see the band, and David Hislop was playing, and he was stage right, so on the opposite side of the stage from where we were sitting. And I believe he used his Strat for that song. And so I grabbed my Strat. I'm on the bridge pickup, so it bridge pickup tones for me on that one. And on the cover video, I used a dual amp setup on my HX Stomp with the Deluxe Reverb and an AC30. I call this one the Deluxe 30. And I had a signal chain on the Stomp was the simple pitch. And then we have the effects loop, then the noise gate to kill the hiss from the effects loop. And then I have those two amps, and then we have each with their own cab, and then the simple EQ at the end to bump the holy mid-range. On the board, I had the CS3 compressor always on with just a light bit of compression. And then the carbon was always on, and I have that the drive or the gain set up at about noon. Normally I'll run that somewhere closer to like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on that dial. And then I've got the volume set just above unity, and that's somewhere around 11 o'clock. And then the other drive that I used on that cover video was the ODR-1, and I'll normally run that at 3 to 4. And for this one, I had it set at 6, and it just gave me the right tone, the right feel. What I'm looking for with my overdrive, especially for that kind of second stage, is just a good palm muted tone. It doesn't always have to be real overdriven. But just one of the things that pedal adds to the feel of the sound, I guess, one of the things it adds is a feel, and especially the way the spectrum knob works. It's not quite like a typical tone knob. It's a little bit more dynamic and dimensional. So anyway, I loved it. It sounded good. And so just keeping that in mind when I went to build out the presets, it led me to this. So the HX Stomp signal chain, I didn't have room for a compressor because I wanted two overdrives. It was important for me to be able to have them stacked. One of the things I like about doing that is you can crank the drive on your amp and it'll do something, but when you push an overdrive into it, it just kind of fine tunes the breakup and gives a little bit of a thicker tone overall. And so I was able to achieve that. So signal chain was the simple pitch into the Diana drive, and that replaced the ODR-1. There wasn't enough DSP to include that on the Stomp, so I got the Diana drive, sounded great, and then we're going into the KWB drive. And this one's been replacing the Heir Apparent for me for a while here. Not on every situation, but it's just been more lately. I've been really liking that one, and so it has a real wide range of usable gain that doesn't really get distorted. So I've got that on the whole time. And then the Diana drive comes in I think I've got it set up on Snapshot 1. And then I kick it on for the second part of Snapshot 2. From that, we're going into the transistor tape delay and then the dynamic hall reverb. And then we're going into a matchstick channel 1. This amp really captures to me the feel of the AC30 with some of the frequencies of the Deluxe Reverb. So it was a great replacement since I had two amps for the cover video. This one really did capture the feel of what those two were able to do. And then I'm going into a dual block with one side mic'd up with the Dynamic 57, the other side mic'd up with the Dynamic 7. And then the simple EQ to bump the holy mid-range. The signal chain for the Helix is similar, but I was able to include a compressor, so I have the Deluxe Comp into the simple pitch, and the Deluxe Comp is just set with a low threshold. I think I'm at minus 25 decibels, minus 26, And then I always run the compressor not 100%. So I think I've got it set at 70%. And I'm doing 4-to-1. So it's just not a lot, but it's just something. Going into the simple pitch, and then the Diana drive, and then the KWB drive. And from there, we're going into the volume pedal, then splitting into stereo transistor tape delay. And for all of these, that's set on dotted eighth. And then the dynamic hall reverb and the simple EQ. Nope. The dynamic hall, I was looking at the snapshots I have set up on the Helix. After the dynamic hall reverb, then we're going into 2 matchstick channel ones, each with their own cab. And I've got one set up with the dynamic 57, the other with the dynamic 7. And then the simple EQ to bump the holy mid-range. Now I have that dual amp setup available for HX Stomp, but it's just to go on your pedal board. It doesn't have any of the effects in it. It's just the effects loop. I think I might have a reverb in there, those 2 amps, and then the simple EQ. On the Helix, you can also get that preset, and this one's going to come decked out with everything. So it's all the stuff that's going to work for this song, but these presets will work for a lot of songs. And then I also added tremolo. And so real quick, I'll go over the snapshots. So on the HX Stomp, SS1 is going to cover the intro and then a couple of the down parts. SS2 is going to cover the first verse section, which is verses 1 and 2. And then there's an interlude coming out after that. And the first verse section is when the Diana drive is off and the octave is on. And then the interlude is where we kick on that Diana drive, and then it just stays on for the rest of the song. And then SS3 I used for the choruses. It's just got a bit of a longer decay on the reverb, just to give it a little bit of a cloud for that part to kind of lay in. The snapshots on the Helix are similar with SS1, SS2, SS2 plus OD, and then SS3. And then that dual amp setup with the Deluxe 30 has the bottom row set up the same way, and then the top row is set up with the clean plus octave, wash, which I like. I'll use wash quite a bit where I've got a low mix, long decay on the reverb, and so you can play pretty melodic things, for down parts of the songs, and it's not standing out too much. And then I've got a swell. I'll be running through the presets on the Helix, both of them. So the song-specific preset as well as the dual amp preset. And I'll be using the Strat, the Gretsch, and the Les Paul. All right, let's hear it. if you did, subscribe and hit that like button for good measure. So when you're setting up for Sundays, do you tend to use completely different amp, cab, effect setups for every song? Or do you find a bass setup with an amp and some overdrives and then just use that setting and just change your tempos and wet effects for the different presets for your service? Let us know in the comments. If you'd like the resources for this song, you'll find them at a link in the description box below. There are a handful of downloads free for you in there as well. All right, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.